Mark, thank you for being with us today. We'd love to understand what are your key strategies and differentiators in Urbanite Funds when you select a particular investment amongst the plethora of deals you might be getting every day.
Sure. Thank you, Ashish. I think first and foremost, it's our relationships to high quality and institutional class sponsors. Because in any investment, you have to know the partners you're lending to, you have to know their capabilities and their ability to perform. And with Stephen's relationships long in the industry, being on the West Coast, which he can speak to, my background working in institutional private equity investment firms, we have a breadth of relationships and opportunities that we can seek out. Beyond that, which I think is the minimum, we also are based on the West Coast. And so we see a lot of deals here that a lot of other funds out of New York don't have access to or aren't on the ground to evaluate as closely as we are. And so we see a key differentiating feature in that regard, in that we live, breathe, and see everything out here on the West Coast. We do maintain a national focus. We have investments across the US in order to make sure we're seeing the best opportunities. And I'll say the last point is that, you know, we're much smaller in the industry than the large funds out there that have a lot of capital to put to work, and they're constantly having to just put money and force money into deals. We can be ultra selective, and we are. And so where we could do, you know, 20, 30, 40 deals a year that we see on an annual basis, we're only going to select only a handful of those and pick the very best ones. Even though a lot of those will meet our criteria and provide a good return, what we're then solving for is further reducing our risk in the deals that we do choose to invest in.
Yeah, I obviously have a very long relationship, 40, 50 years in the West Coast with real estate and politics, and have developed I would say a Rolodex of people in the real estate business who know our credibility and our legitimacy and our ability to procure and place funds. And so that we get very often the very first opportunity to look at projects and decide whether we want to put money and loan money out and do Urbanite Funds. And as we both know, as we all know, any investment is dependent on two things: the project and the sponsor. And we know a lot of sponsors. I've dealt with a lot of sponsors. We vet every sponsor that we may not know. And we look at that opportunity. And because we know real estate, I think, certainly on the West Coast, but I think on a very United States basis, we're able to really dig in and explore and look at the project from a whole variety of circumstances, whether it's comparables, whether it's the logistics, whether it's the demographics. And I think we're able to really discern whether a certain project and a certain sponsor have the right ingredients to make a particular deal really work. And you've minimized the risk, because every deal has a certain risk, but you've minimized those risks as much as you possibly can. And so you have no hesitation about going forward in that particular market with that particular project. And I think that comes about as a result of knowledge, experience, and expertise.
So I hear your key differentiator being relationships, which you've built over the past few decades. How much weight do you put on due diligence in your deal selection process?
We put a great deal of weight on due diligence. We spend a lot of time. We visit every project. We vet the project. No matter how well we know the sponsor, we vet that sponsor on an as-is basis. We look at we do a complete, thorough, and detailed due diligence on every single project. No matter what our initial reaction might be, we approach them de novo on every possible transaction from start to finish.